together. I want to wait 5 minutes for any questions at the end, but I mean, as I said, the first question was deliberately provocative, and I go beyond, in a sense of posing the question, I've gone beyond the point that Moeller's making, because Moeller does conclude that every marriage should be open to children. Although I think he does raise some points earlier in his discussion about the Church's attitude to contraception and whether that has departed from certainly has departed from the historic position of the churches. But I'd be interested to know what your thoughts were on that, because I mean, his point was primarily about divorce in terms of his conclusion. So what did people think about that question, and what conclusions did you come to?
I think if you're an evangelical and you're born again, divorce is really out of the question. There's no question about it. It was for life, for good, better or worse, for sickness and health. So, yeah, I think that, I was just saying, I think it was so cluttered. You should live your life, and as you said, Gordon, at the end there, that our chief end is to glorify God in all our lives, no matter what it is, if we trust in Christ, and,
So do you think our credibility has been undermined because of this? Is that something people generally feel? Or would anybody disagree with that? The credibility hasn't been undermined because of this?
I agree with that, but contraception, divorce, there are only two issues. I think the value of the family was the first source of difficulty, because when family was only regarded as a cell for life, everyday life, and also for getting money, the women started to work, and they were only, our friend here said, emancipation because women were equal to men and both worked, but the focus was not longer, the focus of women was not longer to assist their husband, but they wanted to have their own life, their own career, their own income, and the task of looking after the children, bringing up the children, was given to the state, so it's nurseries and schools, and the teaching for life ability is not taking place in the family any longer. So I think that is also one source, and contraception, divorce is only one or two issues of that.
And I think what we're trying to get to, and people may come to different conclusions about contraception, for example, in terms of your own personal life, but the point we're trying to get to here is that the biblical worldview of marriage, family, raising children, etc., is diametrically opposed with what much of our culture tells us, and what much of the church has taken on board because it's come on board from our culture. And people will come to different conclusions about such things. I take that point on board quite fully. But we do need to get back, I think, to the big picture of God's intent. And even if for example, my wife works part-time, she's having a discussion at the moment about what that looks like in the future. But the point is, we need to not lose sight of the gift God has given us. And as Christians, I think a lot of the time, perhaps in the evangelical church, we are actually not necessarily living as distinctive lives from the rest of society around us as we should be, which is perhaps one of the reasons why people don't then see anything different about us and then think that there's anything there for them, actually. I mean, just this man in front was telling me about a conversation he had with some young people who was living together with her boyfriend. And actually, we do need to show and model something very different to our society without being I realised I'd missed out one of the slides, which is unfortunate, because we have to do it without being hypocritical and without being judgmental, without being legalistic. We have to always show the grace of God, but we have to also model something different, I think, and that's really, I suppose, the point I'm trying to make. In terms of the divorce question, this is again something that splits church leaders, even within denominations, even within churches. If you have people, particularly people who weren't Christians and then have become Christians, people have moved on this issue of remarriage or divorcees. But the early church took the position that if you got divorced, you shouldn't get remarried. And I think that, again, that's an area where we have perhaps lost sight of God's standard. And we're all sinners, and we all need our feet washed by Jesus, obviously. But nevertheless, we should not lose sight of these foundational principles that are there throughout Scripture.
You don't think that's what's actually happened?
I think that is what's happened.
We were discussing the contraception and divorce, the really academic principles actually. At what point did the first slip happen on the slippery slope? So was it contraception, was it emancipation, it becomes an academic exercise actually. And the fundamental history repeats itself. If you look into the thread that runs through the Old Testament, is that the Jews turned their back on God, and they weren't being equipped by the pastors, the priests, who didn't fulfill their role. They lost sight of God, and God through Scripture, through His revealed Scripture. And they lost sight of that. And I wonder if the priests, when they were invaded from the north, I wonder if they sat in a room like this and thought to themselves, do you know, at what point did we get it wrong? Where did it all go wrong? And I was saying, I was in holiday just recently, I was reading through Jeremiah, and Jeremiah laments to God, the people are not listening. And I think it's repeating itself just now, the people are not listening. And irrespective of if we're talking about contraception or divorce, the agenda's already set. That government that's the direction we're moving in. And we are becoming a smaller voice that's all too easily ignored now. And the reason for that slip is really academic. It's about the fundamentals now. It's about living lives as Christians, trying to live scriptural lives in obedience to God and letting that witness speak. Because as we enter the day, we are very easily ignored and marginalised. And the consultation and all that kind of stuff, whilst I think it's useful, and God bless you for doing it, I think they're not listening.
Well, they do sometimes listen, I would say, and I do take your point. And so a lot of my job is what's possible. Ourselves in the Christian Institute, for example, threatened to judicially review the government over the Offensive Behaviour Football Act. We threatened to judicially review the government over a particular act that they put forward, and the consequence of that was that a conscience clause was put into that act. Now, part of the current discussion in terms of the hate crime legislation is whether that conscience clause should remain there. But that's an example of what we achieved, which was a small thing, but it was a very important thing. And I think that's the point really in terms of my job, is it's always about what you can achieve. We will not create a Christian society through legislation, but what we can do is we can limit the damage that is done through the direction societies are going in, if I put it that way. and that's the role of the law, I think. But anyway, I don't want to get distracted onto that, but I think that, in terms of a pastoral context then, because I mean I take your point about society as a whole, in terms of a pastoral context, pastors do find themselves in the position where they have people in their congregations or whatever who are getting divorced or who are divorced, etc. And Muller's point is that and to come back to you, because it was that it was the loss of a strong position on that then opened the door for other things such as same-sex marriage, etc. later on. And I think he's got a very strong point there, I have to say, personally.
But what opened the door for that? What opened the door for contraception? And that comes back to what Ketchel was talking about. It was kind of it was James Burke's Connections. Remember the programme that this happened, that caused that to happen, and you get connections all the way through. So what happened? What connected the decision to allow contraception?
Well, the first church to change its position was the Church of England in the 1930s, and other churches have sort of moved on from there. Now, I'm not taking a definitive view on that, and not expressing a definitive view on that to you. But I threw it out there for discussion because he raises the issue in his book, and ultimately ethics is about not an academic subject. It's about how we live our lives, and from a pastoral point of view, it's what advice you give to people who are in your congregation who may struggle with some of these issues and not actually know the answers.
You see in the notes when you spoke about today, you've spoken about the order of creation, and it's clear in creation that there's an order there in terms of procreation. Well, procreation also has an order, and so when a male and a female come together and they have this act of procreation, the natural order that God has put in place is that life would be produced. And so when we begin to say, well, actually, let's have the act of procreation, but let's stop the order that God has put in place by using contraception, then sex has become merely a function for self-gratification, and you've separated God's order from it.
Well, it's the natural consequence at certain times of the month, of course.
Mm-hmm. That's all set in place by God. But when we start to say, well, we're going to have the act of procreation, but we're going to limit the order that comes out of that, of children being born.
See, I think going back, when I end sort of the discussion, it's good that you've stimulated the discussion. I think going back to the Genesis account, it seems to me, Augustine wrote about 3 goods of marriage, basically, and it's based on the Genesis. The Genesis account shows a number of things. It talks about companionship or help, being a helpmate. It talks about not being good for a man to be alone. It then talks about the procreation dimension. And of course, that was the command of God, but the command in the New Testament is that all people should repent, this specific command of God to humanity, post, after Jesus' death and resurrection. But it also is this sort of sacred nature of marriage because of its prophetic, or its pointing forward to the consummation of history. And so Augustine says 3 goods of marriage: companionship, or fidelity, or sort of fellowship, relationship, procreation, which he says is the first good of marriage, the first purpose of marriage, and then this sort of sacred nature. Now, I'm not sure that Protestants necessarily put them in a hierarchy as such, and maybe I think you can maybe say, well, actually all 3 are equal, and ultimately, we have to look to where we're going, which is and to the fulfillment which is in Christ. And that comes back to what it says earlier on about what we said earlier about marriage itself being a temporal arrangement, being relativized, that that ultimately, as Smoller says, ultimately the whole earth will be filled with the image of God. So we have to sort of hold these different things in tension, and but I think my personal view is that he has a very strong point in terms of from someone who seeks to engage in the public square and has seen what's happened in our society over the last 20 years and in Western society over the last 40 years, is that what we've seen happen is that the church has lost sight of some of the foundational principles ourselves, and we've failed to declare them to our society, and as a result we've ended up where we are. But yeah, okay.
So clearly there is a kind of level of hypocrisy if we were saying as Christians we think contraception is okay, we can perform the act of procreation but halt the order that God has embedded within that of life coming forward, then we have said, well, it's okay to have self-gratification without facing the consequences of the order of that, a procreative act. Then when the world looks at us and says, well, you know, we want to enjoy sexual gratification without facing, you know, the ordered consequences of that.
Yeah, and Muller's point, I mean, that's the Catholic position, obviously. Muller doesn't say every act should be open, but he says every marriage should be open to children. That's the position he takes. If he was in the room, I would like to ask him that question actually. Why do you come to that conclusion? And you know, that's something which I've put it in, as I said, to be provocative, to throw it out there. But the conclusion he does come to is the position we took on divorce has undermined our credibility. But we need to stop, and we can carry on discussing this forever. And it's been really fascinating to do so. But John's come into the room, and that means we've got to stop. Okay?